will now call the meeting to order. We'll have the city town clerk take the roll.
Saban,
Here.
Douglas,
Present.
Hurt,
Present.
Rodriguez, Singh,
Here.
Rodriguez,
Here.
Roth,
Here.
Kupo,
Here.
Decker,
Here.
Festa,
Here.
Haywood, Antunes,
Here.
Santana, Acosta.
Here, I'm here.
Okay. Acosta, Santiago,
Here.
Crespo,
Present.
Ortiz,
Present.
DeCola,
Present.
Edwards,
Here.
Clyburn,
Here.
Winter,
Here.
Morrison,
Here.
Walker Myers,
Here.
Hamilton,
Present.
Marchand,
Here.
Rakeem,
Present.
Furlow,
Present.
Marks,
Here.
Wingate,
Present.
Smith.
I will let move for the record that order from Ward 4 has joined us. A quorum has been established. We'll now have divine guidance from order from Ward 10.
Thank you, Madam President. As the year 2019 was coming to an end, there was no way of knowing what 2020 would bring. 2020 became a series of disasters: the killing of George Floyd, the California fires, acrimonious political campaigns, and the worst pandemic the world has seen in more than a century. We experienced loss of life, families having to say goodbye to their loved ones via FaceTime. Who would have ever imagined that holding a dying loved one's hand would be a privilege? But amid the tragedies, there was courage, there was grace, there was sacrifice, and there was hope. We saw heroes that walked among us. People's voices were heard at the polling booths. Barriers were broken, and we are stronger, wiser, and better. It was a year no one could predict. Overwhelming, impossible. We learned that things are possible. December 18th marked the end of Hanukkah celebrations. On December 25th, Christmas will be celebrated, and on the 26th, Kwanzaa. This is a time of reflection, a time to look back at the courage and the compassion we witnessed. As we draw near to the end of 2020 and welcome 2021, there is no way of knowing what will happen, but we are ready to tackle the world's great challenges. It is time to come together to check on our neighbors, our communities, sending a message of hope, a message of peace, a time to prepare and reflect on ourselves, how we make a difference to others and how. And that should be through charity and love. We need to ask ourselves, what legacy do we want to leave behind? What defines who I am? You don't need to live in a mansion, drive a fancy car, wear designer clothes. That is not what defines a person. All of that is left behind. What defines us is how we treat others. It is through stewardship, charity, and love. I was fortunate to be at the right place at the right time on election day when a conversation ensued with a constituent for the need of Thanksgiving turkeys. I promised to secure some turkeys, and along with Alder Hurt, we volunteered to bag potatoes, bag onions, and turkeys for those in need at a turkey giveaway at John C. Daniels School, sponsored by the New Haven Dallas Cowboys fan club. I'm a Giants fan. This past Saturday, the same group asked for donations for their annual toy drive, and through the help of community members, we make it happen. There are many ways one can help, whether it be through monetary donations or just giving of your time. Let us start to reflect on who we want to be today. Let us reflect on how to be a better neighbor, a better friend, and a better family member. Let's strive for a tomorrow that delivers hope, equality, and helps others be and for us to be ourselves. We have to have faith in each other, for faith is love. As the song goes, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I wish you all peace during this holiday season. I wish you reflection, and I wish you a happy, healthy new year. Thank you.
Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening. I move approval of the Journal of the December 7, 2020 Board of Alders meeting.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Are there any corrections to the journal? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item passed, Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under unanimous consent, I ask UC on the item from the tax collector submitting an order of tax refunds December 2nd or December 21, 2020.
Is there anyone going to deny unanimous consent? Seeing none, Ms. Majority Leader.
I move the item.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed, Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under unanimous consent, I ask UC on the item from the Director of Management and Budget submitting a resolution of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven, authorizing the Mayor of the City of New Haven to accept funding from the Secretary of the Office of Policy and Management, accepting funds in the amount of $3,120,837 for city expenditures related to COVID-19 for the City of New Haven.
Is there anyone going to deny unanimous consent? Seeing none, Ms. Majority Leader.
I move the item.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed, Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under unanimous consent, I ask UC on the item from the Director of Health, submitting a resolution authorizing the Mayor of the City of New Haven to apply for and accept the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant from the Chesapeake Health District from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2024.
Is there anyone going to deny unanimous consent? Seeing none, Ms. Majority Leader.
I move the item.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I note the communications that are listed and bringing us under to Livable Cities. I move this item from the Acting Director of Livable City Initiative, submitting a request approving the dispositions of a portion of 388 Blatchley Avenue to Algisberto Montalvo and Nilda Reyes for $435.63, a portion of 388 Blatchley to Hong Gu for $2,613.76, 627 Washington Avenue to 623 through 625 Washington Avenue LLC, for $5,227.50.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passes. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I note the first readings listed, bringing us to our second readings, Aldermanic Affairs favorable, items A through G. A, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Anna Shildroth to the Humane Commission.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. We met on November 23rd in the Aldermanic Affairs Committee, and we would like to favorably recommend the appointee.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under Aldermanic Affairs favorable, I move item B, order the New Haven Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Stephanie Nicholas to the Humane Commission.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order on Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. On November 23rd, we met, and we find this appointee very favorable from the committee. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under Aldermanic Affairs favorable, I move item C, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the reappointment of Yesenia Rivera to the Board of Education.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. We met on November 23rd. The Aldermanic Affairs Committee favorably recommended this appointee to serve in that capacity. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 16.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to also recommend that this particular item is approved and that we approve this reappointment for Ms. Rivera. I just wanted to read a brief paragraph from a letter that was submitted to us by Dr. Carlos Torre. And I just wanted to read it very quickly. And it states, and I quote, "Most importantly, in my judgment, it is my observation of Ms. Rivera's quality of mind and character. She is an honest and ethical individual who earns the trust and respect of those with whom she comes in contact with. Ms. Rivera cares deeply about fairness and high educational standards and the development of mutually beneficial interpersonal relations. She is emotionally mature and purposeful in her commitment to learning and the development of even-handed social and educational policies. Ms. Rivera is inquisitive with a congenial sense of humor that stands her in a good stead with old friends as well as with new acquaintances. Succinctly, she is someone who can handle the amenities of many of most professional or social environment. In summary, Ms. Yesenia Rivera is an exceptionally reliable and knowledgeable individual. Thus, in your deliberation to consider her for reappointment to the New Haven Board of Education, I urge you to give her your very strongest consideration, and I have no doubt that she will continue to perform excellently as a strong advocate for our public schools and children. So I just wanted to read that little portion from Dr. Torre letter, and I also wanted to ask the Board of Alders to also approve the reappointment. I'm also in favor. The community is also in favor, so I just wanted to tell the community, ask the Board of Alders to also approve this reappointment, and I yield back. Thank you.
I'll now call on order from Ward 25.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand in support of this order. I have known Ms. Rivera for some years, and I can vouch for her dedication to the New Haven Public Schools and to New Haven's children and youth. She is smart, she works hard, and she's committed to the goal that all students have a fair opportunity to succeed. I urge colleagues to vote in support of her reappointment. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order for 30. Wait, what was the next one?
30.
I called her, but she didn't say nothing. I'm mute.
I'm here. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this time. I stand in not support of Ms. Rivera, and I urge my colleagues not to, that we think about our taxpayers and the dollars. Ms. Rivera allowed a $14,000 lawsuit to be approved, and nothing was found from it. We have to protect the taxpayers. And secondly, that she reopened school during the pandemic, and which we should have thought about the severity of our children, which has not. And last but not least, but it could be a lot of things, I don't see the level of professionalism in which that she brings forth. She's lacking that. So I urge my colleagues to stand with me and not support Ms. Rivera for reappointment for the Board of Education. Thank you.
I will now call on Kai from Ward 4.
Thank you, Madam President. I urge my colleagues to approve this appointment. Yesenia Rivera is a great candidate for reappointment for the New Haven Board of Education. In her recent partial term, she had excellent attendance and commitment to improve communications with board meetings and relationships with parents and the Board of Alders. In our most recent Aldermanic Affairs Committee meeting, she agreed to work on areas presented by committee members to improve and make her appointment shine as president of the Board of Education. She has a background in working with children and families and in the field of education. She complements the board in that she is the only Hispanic creating diversity on the board and serving as a representative to over 45% Hispanic Latino children in our New Haven public schools. She was raised in New Haven, Connecticut, where she attended the New Haven schools, graduating from Hill Regional Career High School, and obtained her bachelor's degree from our Albertus Magnus College. She remains living in New Haven, and her 3 children are all attending New Haven public schools. Her community relationships with local and state child support agencies will be a strong support to her, not only her position as member, which is our charge, but also as president of the Board of Education. Thank you, Madam President. I urge my colleagues to support this appointment. Thank you.
I will now call on colleague from Ward 24.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President. I also stand in support of Ms. Rivera. We heard her in the Aldermanic Affairs Committee meeting, and I would urge my colleagues to give her a chance to do a better job if we feel like she's not doing the job that we would like her to do. Give her the opportunity. And I support her, and I'm asking colleagues to stand in support of her as well. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on colleague from Ward 19.
Thank you, Madam President. I come before you today to simply say I will be voting a no on this item. And it's not based on gender, ethnicity, or race. It is simply based on decisions that have not been made. Decisions based on life and death. In the middle of a pandemic, where our children are high risk and schools were voted to be open, I have a problem with that when you would like to open schools while we're still having virtual meetings. So just based on that, I will be voting no tonight. Thank you.
Right, 15. Call on colleague from Ward 15.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with all the support that Ms. Yesenia Rivera is getting. We all make mistakes. Schools being open, well, we're not the only state that's doing that. Most of the United States did that. And just give her a chance to improve. It was only partial that she was there. I got fully confident that she's going to do a great job. And let's give her a chance. I'm totally in support. I urge everybody to support her too. Thank you.
I will now call on Kylie from Ward 3. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? I mean, what's going on? I called on you. You ready or do you want to say something or not say something?
Madam Chair, I
Yeah,
didn't hear you call my name. I apologize. Did not hear you call
okay.
my name.
So you want to?
I would love to say something if I may, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would urge all my colleagues to vote in support of this item for Yesenia Rivera. And the times that we're in right now, all people need to be represented in our Board of Education. And with me being an alder of a pretty much well-based constituency of Latinos, I am in support of her, and I urge all my colleagues to support. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Nay.
Yay.
Any abstentions? Item passed. Majority Leader.
Continuing under Aldermanic Affairs, I move the item D, order for the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Frank Dixon to the Q House Advisory Board.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. On November 23rd, we heard the item from Mr. Dixon, and he will be an asset to the Q House Advisory Board. Our committee recommended him favorably to this position. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I too stand in support of Mr. Dixon serving on the Q House Advisory Board. As we all know, the Q House consists of various entities within the building, but the Q House also shares the grounds of the Dixwell Congregational Church. And so Mr. Dixon represents the church. And so to ensure that we all work as one group, one united group within that space, I think Mr. Dixon, along with his various skills, especially as far as business is concerned, things of that sort, he will be an asset to the Q House Board. So I stand here in support of Mr. Dixon. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under Aldermanic Affairs favorable, move item E, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Michael Moran to the Q. Nope, I did that one already, didn't I? Nope.
No, you're good.
Appointment of Michael Moran to the Q House Advisory Board. Item E.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. I have known Michael Morand for a long time, and he has also had the position of the library board, and he's an excellent candidate for this position. And we strongly recommend his appointment. Thank you.
I will now call on order for Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I too stand in support of Michael Moran as a member to the Q House Board. The way that the Q House Board is designed, it's designed by category, by representation. And so the university has a slot, a position on our board, and Mike Moran came heavily recommended, as he has been a part of the Q House board many, many years ago. He brings a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of support, and a wealth of resources that he can help this board and the Q House grow. So as I noted, I too stand in support of Mr. Moran. He will be a great asset to the Dixville community. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passes. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under Automatic Affairs, favorable, I move item F, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Alice Forrester to the Board of Public Health.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. We heard this colleague, Dr. Alice Forrester, on the 23rd of November, and with her extensive knowledge in the health profession, she was an ideal candidate for this position, and we encourage her support.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passes. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Continuing under Automatic Affairs, favorable, I move item G, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the appointment of Greg Gonzalez to the Board of Public Health.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Gonzalez came to our meeting on the 23rd of November, and with an extensive knowledge in the public health arena. And we are building up our public health background and to our committee. So we encourage support of this candidate as well. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Call on order from Ward 9.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Gonzalez has just such a wealth of knowledge, both academic and also as a lifetime of organizing. He has compassion. He has expertise. He's going to be a real asset to our city. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 8.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to back up the support that my colleagues have mentioned about Mr. Gonzalez. He is I'm proud that he's a resident of Ward 8, and I look forward to seeing all that he does on this board. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under City Services and Environmental Policy favorable, I move items A and B. A, order the New Haven Board of Alders establishing a residential parking zone, RPZ, on Newhall Street between Lilac and Ivy Streets. B, order the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor to accept funding from the State Department of Transportation, Connecticut DOT, under the Federal Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, FAST Act, program in collaboration with Hamden and sign and the associated agreements with the state of Connecticut, town of Hamden, contractors, and other documents that may be desirable or necessary, including any subsequent amendments to agreements to install raised crossings at locations throughout the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 10.
Thank you, Madam President. On Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee met, and we would like to favorably recommend this item. The community got together, collected the signatures and the support needed to establish this residential parking zone on Newhall Street. I urge my colleagues to vote favorably in support of this item. Thank you, Madam President. Item B, On Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee met, and we would like to favorably recommend this item. Many people provided oral and written testimony in support of the installation of these speed humps on the Farmington Canal trail, which will make it safer for the people who use this trail on a daily basis. And I urge my colleagues to vote favorably in support of this item. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on colleague for order from Ward 7.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to speak in support of item B. I support the city accepting this grant money for raised crossings at 7 intersections along the Farmington Canal Path in New Haven. These raised crossings will make it safer for everyone who lives in the neighborhood along the canal path to cross the street. It also will improve the safety for everyone who uses the path, whether for recreation or commuting. At the CSEP hearing, we were told that infrared data showed usage on the path increased from 110,000 people last year to 150,000 people this year. Additionally, this grant benefits the entire city. At the CSEP hearing, we also were told there were complete streets requests for several of the intersections covered in this grant. Because the grant will cover 80% of the cost, that means there now will be more money that can go towards the request citywide for traffic calming infrastructure improvements. 13 New Haveners have been killed this year as they were walking or riding bikes in our city, after 9 were killed last year. Their deaths are an incredibly sad reminder as to why these infrastructure improvements are needed. I encourage my colleagues to support this item. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 21.
Thank you, Madam President. By leveraging 4-to-1 matching federal dollars, this order will allow the city to fulfill existing speed bump requests while freeing up capital funds to be spent on much needed traffic calming improvements elsewhere. New Hallville, like much of the city, is crying out for improvements to make our streets safer. A dozen pedestrians and cyclists have been hit and killed by vehicles in our city this year. This approval will help to save lives by making our streets safer for walkers, bikers, and drivers. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 20.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I am grateful, and I just hope that my colleagues support the residential parking on New Hall between Ivy and Lilac and Ivy. We're seeking safety there. We have problems in that area. So we're hoping that this will bring some safety for our children in that area. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under community development, favorable, I move items A through C. A, order the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven approving the disposal of a portion of the parcel of land known as 20 Thompson Avenue, East Haven, which is currently part of Tweed New Haven Airport, to Robert Celentano, and to acquire from Robert Celentano a portion of the parcel of land known as 12 Washington Avenue, East Haven, to be used for the purposes of Tweed New Haven Airport. B, and I'd like to note a title change here, order of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven approving an amended and restated development agreement and land disposition agreement by and between the City of New Haven and Beulah Land Development Corporation Incorporated for the development of 316 Dixwell Avenue and 340 Dixwell Avenue and 783 Orchard Street. C, order of the New Haven Board of authorizing the City of New Haven acting through the Livable City Initiative to negotiate and enter into contracts of sale with respect to new construction properties located at 15 Thompson Street, 23 Thompson Street, 27 Thompson Street, 523 Winchester Avenue, 531 Winchester Avenue, 532 Winchester Avenue, 535 Winchester Avenue, 539 Winchester Avenue, and 575 Winchester Avenue, authorizing the mayor of the city of New Haven to execute and deliver any and all necessary documents to complete the sale of said properties.
Second.
The items have been moved second. I would like to note for the record that Order from Ward 14 has joined us. Discussion. I call an order from Ward 18.
Thank you, Madam President. Dear colleagues, item A, our airport runway must be brought into compliance with FAA regulations. This will request a acquisition of land from a budding owner of East Haven. One of them is Robert Celentano, who owns 12 Washington Avenue. Mr. Celentano will trade land to the city in exchange for airport land that is no longer needed for aviation. This swap has been approved by the FAA. CD committee hearing on November 18th was there with all the communications. Another similar land swap may be coming later. Please approve this. Item B, the item complete a development recently approved by the Board of Alders with Bula Land Development Corp. For Dixwell Orchard Affordable Housing Project. One of the documents, the land disposition agreement for 316 Dixwell Avenue, was inadvertently not submitted with the rest of the documents. Now we have it. Despite not having the documents, the CD committee discussed this LDA thoroughly on November 18th. I hope we can support this. Item C, LCI development, develop these affordable new multifamily homes. They are now ready to be sold to owner occupied who will have tenants to help reduce costs. In the committee, we lowered the AMI request for for 523 Winchester Avenue from 100%, 215,000 sale price to 80% AMI down to 170,000 at LCI request. I hope we can support this too. Thank you to my colleagues.
I will now call on colleague from Ward 20.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to say I hope that all our colleagues really support the development that has happened and has came to pass in New Hallville. This was an item for development in all our neighborhoods on our legislative agenda, and this has come to pass for development in New Hallville, and I am grateful and I seek the support of my colleagues. Thank you.
I will now call on order from Ward 19.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just asking for support for item C, which are the new homes that were constructed. It's a wonderful, wonderful project, as everyone knows. And I am just really grateful and thankful for the beautification of the neighborhood and for the opportunity for regular city folks to own these brand new construction homes and rebuild our neighborhoods up. So I'm just asking for your support for item C. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passed. Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under legislation favorable, I move the ordinance to protect the job security for hospitality employees during the COVID-19 pandemic and establishing a worker's right to recall hotel employees and ensuring that New Haven hotel employers honor their formerly laid off employees by returning them to work in their previously held positions or in new positions available with qualified training.
Second.
The item has moved in second. Discussion. Call on order from Ward 9.
Thank you, Madam President. On Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, the Legislation Committee met, and we would like to favorably recommend this item. This ordinance will ensure that when hotels reopen, they prioritize rehiring employees who were laid off due to the COVID pandemic to their previous position or similar position before bringing in new hires. If the employers refuse to follow this ordinance, it will give the employees an actionable claim due to their employer's non-compliance with the New Haven law. During the public hearing, the legislation committee heard stories from several hotel workers testifying about the need for this ordinance. Workers who are expecting to retire in a few years and who have serious health conditions have lost their income and have been taken off their health care in the middle of the greatest public health emergency in a century. Without recall rights, their lives, through no fault of their own, could be permanently disrupted. We were also struck by the diversity of testimonies. Academics, responsible development advocates, immigrant right organizers, movement leaders who have been fighting for good jobs for years, and many others came out in support of this recall ordinance. One of these testimonies in particular focused on the recall ordinance as a matter of racial justice and public health. This Board of Alders recently declared racism as a public health crisis, and this ordinance is one concrete step to address this crisis. Again, I urge colleagues to vote favorably on this item. Thank you, Madam President.
I now call on order from Ward 28.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. After the last recession, we had a major unemployment and poverty in New Haven. I saw the impact of that in my neighborhood. We experienced a major rise in violence. Studies show that violence is linked to poverty and a lack of opportunity. Black and brown neighborhoods experience the minorities of both. My neighbors and my community cannot afford to go through that again. Our kids deserve better in the future, but already COVID is hitting Black and Latino people the hardest. Back in June, the Washington Post reported that 1 in 3 Black adults know someone who has died of COVID. Someone who has lost their jobs or who is worried about putting food on their table right now. Any actions that we can take that will give people more economic stability, that will help keep our neighborhoods and kids safe. I support this here item. And the workers' recall bill will help lay off hotel workers, and it will help families in New Haven to sleep better at night. I encourage my colleagues to support this here. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 6.
Thank you, Madam President. Last week, the first COVID vaccines arrived in New Haven. This should be a time of hope, but we continue to lose so many of our neighbors to this terrible disease. Today, the New Haven Register published an op-ed by Professor Yerby, a law professor who focuses on racial disparities in public health. She argued that the worker recall ordinance we have before us could have public health benefits for all New Haveners. I want to share some of those reasons for those of my colleagues who have not had the opportunity to read Professor Yarby's piece. First, she writes that people often lose access to health insurance when they are laid off, and then they have the inability to seek out health care that is needed. Second, she notes that hotel workers are more likely to be Black and Latino, and the loss of job creates increased stress and anxiety, which are linked to weakened immune systems. Black and Latino people are already dying in great numbers from this disease, as we have been seeing all these weeks in the news. And third, she argues that experienced employees are more likely to comply with all the public safety guidelines at their workplace and to speak up if there are violations occurring. From an economic perspective, I already support the bill. This is a time of enormous pain in our city, and we need to be taking all action possible to give families stability. This summer, our board recognized racism as a public health crisis. This bill recognizes that, and it takes a step towards making our recovery from COVID more equitable in our city. I hope my colleagues support this bill.
I'll now call on order from Ward 8.
Thank you, Madam President. This has been a devastating year for many of our friends, our neighbors, and our own families. In our city, we already struggle with racial and economic inequality, divisions that have only deepened as our Black and Latinx neighbors suffer markedly higher rates of unemployment, poverty, and sickness due to COVID-19. The pandemic has decimated the hospitality industry. In the spring, nearly 40% of leisure and hospitality workers were laid off. Although other industries have bounced back, the travel, and in particular, the hotel industry, has been slow to recover. Historically, economic crises have deepened inequality. In front of us today is legislation that we can be proud of, legislation that seems common sense. When the work comes back, so do the workers. In 2019, Black and Latinx people collectively made up 29.9% of the total workforce, but 49% of the traveler accommodation sector. The unemployment crisis among hotel workers has the potential to not only exacerbate economic inequity, but to deepen racial inequality. Laid off workers who are not recalled make 11.8% less in wages when they need to find a new job. We must act to protect our neighbors. The loss of these jobs, which people have invested years of their lives and dedication into, has a ripple effect on our families, communities, and neighborhoods. Every time a crisis hits us, more and more wealth is drained from Black and Latinx communities. We are approaching a winter, a very painful winter for our neighbors. This ordinance is one step out of many that we as a city can take to make our recovery from this terrible disease more just. I support this item and I urge my colleagues to vote in favor. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 30.
I just want to ditto all of my colleagues. On last week, I had the opportunity to listen to some of the hotel workers, to their story. And this pandemic, I wouldn't just call it a pandemic, but I would call it a great pandemic, has put a lot of people into suffering. And through that, through the layoffs of all of these workers, they're not just laid off, but it puts a strain on the whole families. So I just really, really want to urge my colleagues to really support this bill that's before us, so that they can have a form of stability in their lives. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 3.
Thank you, Madam President. As Alders, we are aware of the pain and our constituents are experiencing right now. People are hungry, people are dying, people are scared. I believe it's our responsibility to do everything we can to ease that pain. As we look forward to the vaccine, which arrived in New Haven just last week, and to the promise of recovery, we cannot forget the economic hardship people are experiencing, particularly in our neighborhoods of need. We cannot forget the Black and Latino people are dying at a faster rate with this disease. In this city, we have been fighting for years to end the long shadow of segregation. Are we going to come out of this crisis more divided than ever before, or more unequal? Or are we going to come back stronger and more unified? Workers, especially workers in the hospitality industry, which have suffered such extreme losses and is so predominantly Black and Latino, deserve their jobs back. They didn't cause this pandemic. They did nothing wrong. They deserve to rebuild their lives. I have hotel workers in my ward who have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. It's painful. I know this bill will give them the assurance they need in the midst of such great struggle. I urge my colleagues on the board to join me in supporting this item. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order for Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I too stand in support of this bill. This is a bill that it is so paramount that we as alders use our political abilities to ensure that this group whose voice may not be as loud as our voice is heard. This bill is a bill that protects families, as some of my colleagues have said. I personally know what it is to work at a hotel. That used to be a job that I had. And I know, in working with the different women and men that work in that industry, they work hard, they're dedicated, they're committed. And as it has been said here tonight, they did not cause this pandemic. They did not cause this. So they should not have to suffer by ways of not having employment because a job doesn't want to call them back. We have the voice. We have the ability to ensure that these workers, the staff, our residents have money in their pockets to be able to take care of their families. So I ask you, please support this bill, because in supporting this bill, you're supporting our residents of New Haven to have dignity, to continue to have a job, and not to have to worry. So thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an ordinance amendment. I'll have the city town clerk take the roll.
Saban,
Yes.
Douglas, Hurt,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Pupo,
Yes.
Decker,
Yes.
Vesta,
Yes.
Haywood, Antunes,
Yes.
Santana,
Yes.
Acosta,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Crespo,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
DeCola,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Clyburn,
Yes.
Winter,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Walker Myers,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Marshawn,
Yes.
Rakeem,
Yes.
Furlow,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Wingate,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Is anyone who haven't voted wishing to vote? Is there anyone who have voted wishing to change their vote? Seeing none, item passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under tax abatement favorable, I move items A and B, order abating, deferring collection of real property taxes due from Patricia Kane on her residence for grand list of 2018 and 2019, and B, order abating, deferring collection of real property taxes due from Ella Tate on her residence for grand list of 2019.
Second.
The item's been moved in second discussion. I call on order from Rule 16.
Thank you, Madam President. Both of these items are from individuals that meet the requirements for an abatement. They have received an abatement in years prior, and they still qualify once again this year. The Tax Abatement Committee heard this at the November 24th meeting and voted to approve this request. I also urge and I ask the Board of Alders to also approve these two items to be deferred. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all favors say aye.
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 Any,
Aye.
any opposed? Any abstention? Item passed, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under miscellaneous, I move the item under motion to amend. From Willie Crespo submitting a motion to amend LM-2020- 0369, an order of the Board of Alders previously adopted on September 8, 2020, forgiving the interest due from James Dietrichson on his motor vehicle tax account number 841-897, 809-655, and 82503, and extending the period to pay the taxes to February 28, 2021.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 16.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add that this particular item was something that was approved. Mr. Dickerson's interests were forgiven, and he was going to pay the remainder that he owes for the car taxes. However, he wasn't able to pay them in time, so he has requested an extension, and I urge my colleagues to approve this extension so that he's able to pay everything that he owes in full by February 28th, 2021. Thank you. I yield back.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item passed. Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under motion to discharge, I move the item from the Chair of the Finance Committee submitting an order to discharge the committee from consideration of the communication from the New Haven Public Schools submitting an order of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the New Haven Board of Education and the New Haven Federation of Teachers, Local 933 AFT AFL-CIO, July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2023, submitted on December 7, 2020, and to take it up for immediate action.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion on the motion and discharge only. I call order from Ward 24.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee heard this request on December 14th and took no action on the item. Due to the time sensitivity involved, I request the full board discharge the item this evening and take it up for immediate action. Thank you, Madam President.
Further discussion on the motion of discharge only. Seeing none, all in favor of giving this item a motion to discharge, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item discharged. The Majority Leader.
I move the item, Madam President.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 24.
Thank you, Madam President. This agreement would extend most of the provisions of the current contract between the Board of Education and Local 933 through June 2023. In the wake of the pandemic, the parties decided to limit the focus of their talks. In exchange for job security enhancement and flat medical premium contributions, this contract limits teacher wage growth in the coming years. This agreement calls for no raises in 2020-21 year, but in year 21-22 and 22-23, it does provide step increases with a $2,000 increase to the top step in 2021-22 and a $1,000 increase in 22-23. Overall, this agreement ensures a stable teacher workforce and is fiscally responsible. I ask colleagues to vote in support of the item. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item passed, Ms. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the end of year discharges for purposes of leave to withdraw as follows. Motion to discharge from the chairs of various committees and joint committees submitting an order of the Board of Alders to discharge certain committees and joint committees from consideration of the following legislative items and to take them up for immediate action for the purpose of granting leave to withdraw or read and file as it is appropriate for the following matters. Joint Aldermanic Affairs legislation from the Director of Human Resources submitting an ordinance regarding department head qualifications. Finance from the Chair of the Finance Committee order calling for all memorandums of understandings regarding labor contracts and the implementation of any memorandum of understanding regarding labor contracts to cease and desist until a legal analysis and fiscal impact statement has been provided and Board of Alders approval has been granted. Legislation Committee from Alder Furlow submitting a zoning map amendment to change the zoning designation of Emerson Street and Whaley Avenue from high middle density residence RM2 to general business BA. From Henry Lowendorf submitting an ordinance amendment to Code of General Ordinances calling for the mayor to annually request a report from New Haven's congressional delegation on their actions taken to reduce military spending and redirect those funds to the city's human needs. From Alder Burkeen submitting an ordinance amendment concerning short-term rentals of residential locations. Public Safety Committee from David Crombie submitting a letter concerning diversity of the police and fire. From Alders, Winter, Karabasaglu, Reves, Festa, Hurt, Roth submitting an order calling for a workshop to discuss the role of university police departments in providing public safety and would explore questions surrounding the jurisdictional, operational, and logistical relationships between those departments and the New Haven Police Department. From Alder Winter, Saban, Roth, Edwards, Burkeen, Smith, Douglas, an order calling for a workshop on police actions as first responders during encounters with persons impacted with substance abuse and mental illness. From Alder Antoon submitting an order calling for a review and public hearing regarding the city's policies and practices for requiring organizers of parades, festivals, and other public events to reimburse the cost of security, cleanup, and other services the city provides.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion on the motion to discharge only. Seeing none, all in favor of discharging these items, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item is discharged. Mr. Majority Leader.
I move the items.
Second.
Second.
The item has moved in second. Discussion on giving these items the leave to withdraw. Seeing none, all in favor of giving these items a leave to withdraw, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? And before a motion to adjourn is a prayer, I'll take points of personal privilege. Are there any points of personal privilege? I call on order Ward 29.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not going to belabor tonight, but I just want to say thank you to you and the leadership over this last year. That's been really, really rough. We pivot on a dime around how we did business in the city. It was challenging, and I believe that we met the challenge. We don't, in this board, we don't always agree, but we can be disagreeable and still respect what we're trying to do. And I just wanted to say to all that's on this team, that's on this board, thank you for your commitment, because this has been a tough year. It's been a real tough year. People have been coming far and near to try to zoom in and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you to the leadership, President Pro Temp, Majority Leader, Sal, all the Sal, the whole entire team of leadership. This been real tough. So I just want to say thank you, and y'all keep pushing, because 2021, hopefully we'll be talking about a vaccination, and I'm willing to take a promo. If anybody willing to take the shot with me, I'm willing to take the promo, talk to your doctor, talk to your priest, your pastor, whatever y'all need to do. But I'm willing to take a promo with y'all as a leader in the city of New Haven, taking the vaccination. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you once again.
Are there any more things of personal privilege? Okay. I call on order from Ward 2.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. I wish everybody a happy, blessed, and safe holiday. Thank you, Madam President.
Are there any more pieces of personal privilege? Well, I have one. If nobody else got one, I have one. So that was a perfect segue order from Ward 29. Actually, you might have been in my mind a little bit. So the first I want to say, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday. I hope that everybody continue to be safe. 2020 was a really tough year. I'm talking about a tough year on the board, talking about a tough year with my family, just a real tough year. And, you know, when you have really tough times, you got to really sit back and think about, you know, what you're going to do and what you want to do and how things are going to function. And looking forward to 2021, I really wish everybody a lot of success with what they're going to be doing. Because, you know, things get challenging all the time, constantly. You know, it make you wonder why you're even given all your time to do this work. It's really important for, you know, like the residents to really have a voice out there where they seem like, you know, nobody's listening to them. And even with that, sometimes it come a lot of challenges. So I actually commend everyone that decided to take on this work and continue this work. And I wish you nothing but success in the year of 2021. And I'm going to be watching. Thank you. So now a motion to adjourn is appropriate.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Third.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
And hold on, take 5 minutes. You know, we have our end of the year rubbies. So if everybody could just hold tight, you could just take 5 minutes so we could get everything cleared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Merry
Frank, I wanted to jump in because you had that note just right. Happy holidays.
Well,
Feliz
while
Navidad.
I have everybody on the line, I didn't take the point of personal privilege. I did raise my hand, but
Well, you're late. You're late.
it's okay.
No, I'm just joking.
Second.